Ooh, hello. Right, it's me, Gazbot. I essentially live in the desert now. That's why I have my Dusty from G.I. Joe hat. But art, right? I was going to talk about it out here, but it's difficult to multitask. It's getting hot. I think I'll just move it inside and just have it be a sitting at the desk kind of scenario. Hi, it's me, Gazbot. Here is the art update. I didn't want to do another vlog, but I don't really have a cohesive theme video. But I wanted to, again, keep myself accountable, make updates, blah, 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 blah. And what's going on is this. I finished up all my sketch cards that I had to do and every other little bit of client work, anything art related that I absolutely had to do for money, for whatever commitment. Then what I had on my plate were a few things, none of which were urgent, none of which I had to do. The Horror 4, prints for upcoming conventions or just for my Etsy store or for a variety of reasons. Just I got an idea for one, whatever. And variant cover concepts. Previously, I had done a whole bunch of Godzilla versus Power Ranger variant cover concepts that I was angling to try to get hired to do a variant cover. And it didn't work out. I mean, I did a bunch, but I didn't get hired. And I talked to a few people who basically made it clear that I wasn't going to get hired. Not just me because of my art and stuff, but that they're not hiring anyone. So I was like, oh, well, I kind of was going to push it even further, but then I stopped. And then they announced, oh, actually I have this comic right here. The sequel to this, Ninja Turtle Power Rangers, which is almost as good. Like Power Rangers, Godzilla, Ninja Turtles, like those are like three big things that I would love to work on. So this is like another like dream crossover, but that had already happened. A new one's coming out in December. So I had the same thought of like, well, maybe I could make this happen. And so I started doing concept art for that and I was working on it. And then I had the idea of like, this probably isn't going to go anywhere. You know, I get, it's funny because when I was younger, it would always be like, I have this great idea and I'm going to light the world on fire and it's going to work out perfectly. Then I got a little older and I'm like, everything's terrible. Nothing will work. It all sucks. And I'm kind of depending on the day, I go either way now. Where like, I have less optimistic, pie in the sky days than I used to. But I'm not as totally depressed, nihilistic as I also used to be. I'm sort of mostly in the middle, and then depending on the day or the thing, I'll go one way or the other occasionally. Excuse me. So anyway, coming into the variant art concepts for the Ninja Turtle Power Ranger thing, I wasn't as optimistic as I was about the Godzilla versus Power Rangers because I had already done it and put a bunch of work into it for basically nothing. Some of those I might turn into prints, which goes back to the second category. But anyway, I decided I was doing a few, and I decided I can't just keep doing this. I'm going to do a few, throw them out there, and I said, okay, this week coming up, I'm going to keep working on the variant sketch covers. It'll give me something to put up. It'll keep my mind going. It'll get this off my chest. And I talked to a few people about potentially, having them, for lack of a better term, sponsor me, because, yeah, while it'd be great if Boom or IDW or whoever hired me, I don't know how to make that happen. I don't know that anybody does. It's the impression I get is that you kind of have to be successful or famous or noteworthy first, and then they will hire you, or somebody, or there's other ways in. But that's like, I'm not trying to be a complete defeatist, but it's just like a very, very difficult thing to get in on the radar, I guess. And of course, I acknowledge maybe my art isn't up to snuff. That's possible. I'm not saying I'm the greatest artist in the world. But I have seen other art published that was as good as mine, or maybe a little less good, depending on your taste, So I don't think, while I might not be top of the pile, I certainly don't think it's ridiculous to think my work is good enough to qualify. That being said, there's also, you could go through a comic store or other places where they will want a book cover specifically for them. I'm getting really off the track here. I'll probably do a whole video about variant covers. But anyway, I reached out to a few things, tried a few avenues to try to get that to happen, and it wasn't happening. But I said I'm going to give myself a week, finish up. I did a few, I think one or two, maybe three more that week. And I said then the next week, I'll work on prints. And then the week after that, I'll work on the Horror 4. Now, where I am today is Saturday night of the week. I gave myself the week to work on prints. And I've basically all week been working on this Goldar print to replace an old one I had. And this was a Kaijun image that I had done. And there was a few of them that I'm like, oh, this could actually be a print. And I have a lot of like semi-finished stuff that if I finish up more will be a good print. I even have a Gamera print, which is colored, finished, everything. It's in a Gamera fanzine, which I have yet to put up on my Etsy store. It's a fanzine that I was a contributor to that I have a bunch of copies of right here. And actually, let me see, I'll find my page. There's a lot of good stuff in here. I just did a pinup of Gamera. Anyway, as I'm looking for it, but I had to size it proportion-wise to these pages, which isn't 11 by 17 and it's not 9 by 7. So I want to make an 11 by 17 print. And to do that, I'm going to have to actually extend the artwork a little bit. Anyway, here it is. And basically I just need to extend little parts of it. So that's another thing of like on my list of like to do that should be an easy win, but that'll, it'll take me hours because I'm a maniac. And this goes back to, again, like the reason I set up the weekly schedule is because, if I need to get something done for a client or for a publication date or like something like that, it makes sense to do things project based. But since I kind of cleared my plate, if I said, okay, well, I'm going to get all my Power Rangers versus Ninja Turtle stuff done, how many iterations do I do? Do I take them to full inks? Do I take them to full colors? How long do I wait? Do I wait until December when it starts shipping and just keep working on it till then? With the prints, I've spent the whole week and I have Goldar's inks done and I've started the coloring. But that's like one of 5 prints, including the Gamera, that like not even from scratch that I would do that I thought I want to get done. So like if I waited to that, then who knows when I get to the horror. So I'm going to hold myself to this right now. And so that tomorrow's Sunday and I can still work on the Goldar print, whether I'm done or not Monday, I'm going to start working on the Horror 4. And probably a good chunk of the beginning of that week is going to be like, where are my files? What was going on? Because it's, I'm in the middle of issue 3, but I haven't worked on it in months. And I'm going to have to remind myself what I'm doing. And, and then whatever I get done by the end of the week, great. I touched the Horror 4. Now, am I going to go back to Power Rangers for Ninja Turtle variant covers? No. I'm going to say not necessarily. That week, I want to have a 2-week, I'm going to have a 3-week cycle. But only 2 weeks are assigned right now. That 3rd week, I could do what I want. I can work on prints, or I could work on the Horror 4, or I can go back to the Ninja Turtle thing, or if I have client work that's catching up with me, as long as it's art, I could practice. I could do, tutorials or whatever. Whatever I feel like doing that week, as long as I'm drawing and being productive, is fine. But then at the end of that week, I'm back to prints, and at the end of that week, I'm back to the Horror 4. And I'm going to keep doing that 3-week cycle until I get some projects that mess me up and I just have to work on those projects, which I'm not planning on doing anytime soon. I'm not really taking a lot of commissions or work right now. Or I get rolling on the Horror 4 so much that I'm like, you know what, I just want to do this constantly. And if that's the case, then that's a good place to be. So that's kind of my game plan going forward. That's what's happening. So the next video I plan on putting up will be a traditional Horror A4 production report update, where I will specifically talk about what's going on with the horror, what I've gotten done that week. And like I said, I like the idea of having some more themed content. The vlogs are fun, but they take a lot of time in editing. And there are a certain percentage of people that enjoy them, and it's a small percentage of people. And it's tough because I like watching vlogs too, but I don't know. I'm not saying I'll never do them again, but every time I go back to them, I'm like, oh, this was so much work, and like very few people watch. But the content where it would be like, this is what I think about X, or this, like I find when I'm watching other people's, they're more timeless too. That's the other thing. Like if I'm watching like a Scott Circlin video or somebody that has that, or even outside of the art world, like, if somebody's reviewing toys, the toys that come out every week, I'll watch that maybe, but I'll never watch it again. And if it's an old one, there's no point. But if they're like, hey, let's do a retrospective on Kenner Star Wars from, only 1983, Return of the Jedi line or something, you can kind of watch that anytime. And so I guess I'm trying to, if I'm going to keep making art videos, it'd be a good idea to make them a little more timeless. Yeah, I don't know, that's where I'm at. This is just sort of a rambly thing because I wanted to get something up. But tonight/tomorrow, more work on the Goldar print, and then on to the Horror 4. So that's that. Meanwhile, the Action Activate Power Rangers content is still going up on average once a week, and that is over on the Action Activate channel. So, yes. All right, see you later, and blah, blah. I'm whispering into the Yeti. Now I'm not whispering into the Yeti. And I'm talking. Hi. So that's the thought I had.